Direct, man. Randy Nichols. This is Randy Nichols TV, man. We getting back into part two of this Israel versus Hamas, man. We were talking yesterday. Learned a couple of things. If you haven't watched the video, from yesterday, go back to it, man. This is part two, man. Educating myself and probably others who else is watching the video to, get an idea why this war is going on. As always, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification for new content, man. Follow me on X, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff, man. Randy Nichols, man. Yeah, man. Before we get into it, though, let me set my destination. Work is done for the day. I'm on my way back to the crib, It's a lot of bullshit. It's a lot of bullshit on YouTube, man, that I watch that I'm not interested in right now, man. Motherfuckers ain't teaching nobody nothing. All they doing is talking about how long Jada Pinkett been separated from Will Smith, and Young Miami getting the BET Awards over Nori and them, man. Fuck all that shit, man. Let's talk about some world shit, man. Heard up. There's other platforms for that. I may get back to some of that bullshit later. But right now, man, I'm trying to educate myself. So let's get into it, man. Part two, man. Y'all go to Prager University. Go to Prager University, man, for this content right here. If you don't want to hear me reacting to it, man. One in the building, hit that like button when you step in the building. At least one in here. Appreciate you, man. But let's get into the content. Like I said, Prager University, man. Go to their channel. Very highly recommended educational channel, man. If you want to learn about the world, man, different things. I'll let your boy, man. Prager University, man. Let's get it.
Why do we spend so much money on Israel? Over my decades of military service, as the Deputy Commander of the United States European Command, and now as a security advisor, I've often heard people make this complaint. The truth is, we don't spend enough.
Right. Why? Let me hear that question again, man. That's a question that I want to know.
For my decades of military service, as the Deputy Commander of the United States European Command, and now as a security advisor, I've often heard people make this complaint. The truth is, we don't spend enough. We should spend more.
Spend more on what? Hold up.
As the Deputy Commander of the United States European.
Hold up.
Why do we spend so much money on Israel?
Okay.
Over my decades of military service, as the Deputy Commander of the United States European Command, and now as a security advisor, I've often heard people make this complaint. The truth is, we don't spend enough.
We don't spend enough.
We should spend more.
Why should we spend more?
For purely selfish reasons.
Okay.
Every dollar we spend on Israel is a dollar spent, in effect, in our own defense. As a value proposition, it's all in America's favor. Let me explain.
Yeah.
But before I do, let me just say this. I can easily defend why America supports Israel on moral grounds alone. I've been there on numerous occasions. It's a good and decent...
Another thing, too, I want to know is, why do we spend so much money on Ukraine and helping them on this war? That's another thing I may get into.
Country. Given the neighborhood it lives in, I find that both remarkable and admirable. But I will make this argument solely on the basis of America's security. Our partnership with Israel is unique. Unlike most of our current treaty alliances, say with South Korea, our ties with Jerusalem are not premised on American troops serving as tripwires on Israel's front lines. This is because Israel takes care of itself. America, for good reason, remains wary of any further military engagement in the Middle East. And this only strengthens the case for giving Israel the tools it needs to defend its borders. Here are 3 things we can do. Again, all in our own self-interest. First, the United States should front-load its financial commitment to Israel.
Why?
We have agreed to provide Israel $38 billion in defense assistance over 10 years. That's a big number, but it's also a great deal for America.
How come?
In addition to giving Israel the financial wherewithal to purchase the weapons it needs, it also benefits the American economy. Under the agreement, Israel must spend these funds on U.S. products, and it's happy to do so. Without adding a cent to the total, the United States should front-load this assistance to reflect the changing strategic situation in the Middle East.
So hold on, run that back.
It's also a great deal. First, the United States should front-load its financial commitment to Israel. We have agreed to provide Israel $38 billion in defense assistance over 10 years. That's a big number, but it's also a great deal for America. In addition to giving Israel the financial wherewithal to purchase the weapons it needs, it also benefits the American economy. Under the agreement, Israel must spend these funds on U.S. products, and it's happy to do so. Without adding a cent to the total, the United States should front...
So they flip them, so they give them money to buy products back from us. As long as we supply the money, they buy our military stuff and different products, and all the money and stuff go back to us. So it's like we flipping it. I guess, okay.
This assistance to reflect the changing strategic situation in the Middle East, specifically the rising danger presented by Iran and its proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas. An accelerated timetable would allow Israel to acquire critical capabilities like more F-35 attack squadrons, more refueling tankers, and more precision munitions. It will need this hardware to defend itself and American interests against those persistent and growing threats. Second, the United States should enhance our alliance with Israel. It may surprise you to know that the United States does not have a defense treaty with this essential ally. Lots of agreements, but no treaty. We should. Why is this important? Because it will send a loud strategic signal to Israel's enemies that if you mess with Israel, you mess with us. Israel is not going to ask us for troops, but we should be giving them anything they need: intelligence, weapons technology, and other vital information. And we know this is a two-way street. Israel gives a lot in return. Which leads me to the third point. The United States and Israel should build on their already close collaboration in research and development. Israel is one of the most high-tech economies in the world. American investors understand this. More venture capital is spent per capita in Israel than in any other country. 9 out of the 10 largest companies have R&D facilities there. This is in a country of just 8 million people. When we sell them military gear, they adapt it to their own special needs. The American military, in turn, benefits from these innovations, especially in the area of desert warfare. Indeed, President Obama's Defense Secretary, Ashton Carter, made this point. There's no question that American lives have been saved by Israeli technology. There are many cutting-edge projects we can work on together, such as directed energy weapons. This new form of cannon emits highly focused energy to neutralize targets. Such weapons will be needed to counter the spread of cheap, deadly, and plentiful mortars and drones from Iran and other bad actors. All this explains why I find it so infuriating to see Americans, especially young Americans, support anti-Israel groups like BDS, Boycott, Divest, Sanction, that want to weaken and destroy Israel. Putting aside the perverse logic of these groups that we should punish a free and open democracy, it's self-destructive. Israel is on the front line of terror. They, not us, are within missile range of Iran, Syria, Hezbollah, and Hamas. To the extent these enemies of freedom are held in check, they are held in check by Israel. And they ask from us not one U.S. soldier, only for military aid, which they spend on American defense products to help defend American interests. We should give them that aid without reservation. Sure, it costs us treasure, but it saves us blood, our blood. It's also the right thing to do. I'm General Chuck Wald, United States Air Force, from Prager University.
I've been telling you guys for months to claim this free $6,400. Anyone can get this even if you don't have it.
Right.
Yes, that's right. The $6,400 health subsidies are real. Under this program, everybody who makes less...
There are two views of the Israeli military: what you hear in most of the media and the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth. I was the commander of British forces in Afghanistan. I have fought in combat zones around the world, including Northern Ireland, Bosnia, Macedonia, and Iraq. I was also present throughout the conflict in Gaza in 2014. Based on my experience and on my observations, the Israel Defense Force, the IDF, does more to safeguard the rights of civilians in a combat zone than any other army in the history of warfare.
Okay.
Why is this so? Firstly, Israel is a decent country with Western values run on democratic principles. Israel has no more interest in war than Belgium does. In fact, Israel has never started a war. The only reason it ever goes to war is to defend itself. And it has to defend itself because, unlike Belgium, it is surrounded by countries and armed groups that want to destroy it. Secondly, Judaism, with its unsurpassed moral standards, remains a major influence on the citizens of a small country with a small professional army.
Right.
To fight its reservists. These are ordinary citizens from plumbers called upon to defend their homes. They don't want to be fighting, and they don't want to harm others. Nowhere was the essential morality and decency of the IDF more evident than in the Gaza war of 2014. If ever there was a purely defensive war, this was it. The war was started by Hamas, the terror organization, designated as such by the US State Department that runs the Gaza Strip. In the first 6 months of 2014, Hamas launched hundreds of rockets at Israeli civilians.
Damn.
After repeated warnings from Israel to stop, the Israeli Air Force finally conducted precision strikes to halt the rocket fire. And the IDF advanced into Gaza to destroy a network of terror tunnels that Hamas had constructed to attack Israeli communities near the Gaza border.
But the thing is, though, when they do that, when they go in like that, as we saw today, or the last couple days, they are killing innocent people as well, you know. But I guess that's something that they have to do, you know. They have to fight fire with fire, you know. I will admit, Hamas did pop off on them first, you know. So it sounds like they don't want to hurt innocent people, but innocent people must get hurt in order to win this war, because it's a war, you know. And Israel probably can't let in certain people, or want to let these Palestinians in, or the people from the Gaza Strip in, because if you let them in, who knows who's a terrorist, you know? So I guess they gotta go hard, man. Let's see. Educating ourselves today, yo.
Had constructed to attack Israeli communities near the Gaza border. The IDF took extraordinary measures to give Gaza civilians notice of targeted areas, dropping millions of leaflets, broadcasting radio messages, sending texts, making tens of thousands of phone calls. Let me repeat that. The Israelis called Gazans on their cell phones and told them to leave their residences and move to safety. Never in the history of warfare has an army phoned its enemy and told them where they're going to drop their bombs. Many IDF missions that could have taken out Hamas military capabilities were aborted to prevent civilian casualties.
But did they do that today? Was that done today? Was that done in a couple of days ago? When Israel bombed the shit out of them? I don't know. From what I remember and what I heard, Israel has cut off the water supply, electricity, and I believe something else. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Right now, everything that I'm listening to right now it's one-sided. We're not hearing, the other side of the Hamas and the other Palestinians, So I don't know. It's right now it's one-sided. I want to hear from the Hamas side or the Gaza side why they're doing this. Why did they attack first? What is it that they're looking for? That's something I may have to research myself.
To prevent civilian casualties, increasing the risk to Israeli citizens and soldiers. Despite all of this, of course innocent civilians were killed. Every war is chaotic and confusing, and mistakes are frequent. But mistakes are not war crimes. Hamas, on the other hand, committed war crimes as official government policy. Hamas deliberately positioned its military assets among the civilian population, hiding weapons in schools and hospitals, and placing rocket launchers alongside apartment buildings, then forced those civilians to stay in areas they knew would be attacked. They also instructed their people to report the lot.
Kind of sacrificing their people. That's kind of foul. I don't agree with that. Placing these rockets and these weapons in schools, hospitals, and people's homes and stuff like that. That's not right. I don't agree to that at all.
That every Gazan killed was a civilian, even if they were actually fighters. And if there were no civilian deaths, Hamas made them up. Numerous internet sites show Palestinians elaborately staging sniper victims and smashed ambulances, among other phony horrors. It's so common, there's even a term for it, Pallywood, as in Palestinian Hollywood.
Wow.
Ironically, it's the leaders of Hamas themselves who best understand the extraordinary measures the IDF will take to protect innocent civilians. They take full advantage of Israel's decency and adherence to the laws of war. No army takes such risks in order to protect civilians as the Israeli army does. I say this as a professional soldier. I say it because it's true, and people who care about truth should know it. I'm Colonel Richard Kemp for Prager University.
I became a sperm donor with Cryos, and I made $780 each month. Is that
donor
for Prager University?
700 each month? Cancel that.
Maybe you've heard someone say that Israel is an apartheid state, that Israel has a policy of segregating and oppressing the minority population within its borders, like South Africa once did. Maybe you've been so outraged by this information that you have considered joining the BDS movement, the effort to boycott, divest, and sanction Israel until it ends its alleged racist policies.
Okay.
I don't blame you. Apartheid is a great evil and deserves to be fought wherever we find it. But here's the thing, you won't find apartheid in the state of Israel. So, I'll put it bluntly. The BDS movement is a slick propaganda effort built on lies. I think I have the credibility to make this claim.
How?
Having grown up in South Africa and having spent a fair amount of time in Israel, I know what apartheid is and what it is not. My parents were raised under real apartheid, where blacks were, by law, separated from whites at every level, from education to drinking fountains. Blacks couldn't vote, couldn't own land, couldn't live next to or use the same transportation system as whites. I remember my father telling me about how my grandfather was kicked and humiliated in public by a young white boy. All he was permitted to say was, "Please stop, little boss." That was the world my family lived in. That was the world of apartheid South Africa. But in Israel, the law is colorblind. Israeli Arabs have the same rights as Israeli Jews. They ride the same buses, study in the same schools, and are treated in the same hospitals. Arabs are elected to Israel's parliament, serve as judges, and fight in the Israeli military.
Right.
On my first trip to Israel, the group I was with had a Jewish tour guide and an Arab bus driver. Imagine our surprise having heard that Israel is an apartheid state. This would have been inconceivable in apartheid South Africa. All these things would be self-evident to anyone who did any kind of actual research, or even better, visited Israel, something I encourage everyone to do. BDS doesn't want you to research or visit Israel. It depends on the ignorance of its audience. Sadly, on American college campuses, BDS has a significant presence. It succeeds by playing on the good intentions of good people through deliberate deception. In short, they lie. And lies really make me angry because lies empower evil. Lies about blacks empowered apartheid in South Africa. Lies about Jews made the Holocaust possible. And lies about Israel are misleading a lot of good-hearted young people into opposing the only country in the entire Middle East that doesn't segregate and oppress its minority population. Just ask the next Egyptian Copt or Iraqi Christian you meet on campus. So the question people should really be asking is, what does the BDS movement want? The answer is simple. They want to destroy Israel. They can't do it militarily, so they try to do it through lies. They say that Jews have no historic claim to Israel. Lie. They say that are citizens. Lie. They say that Israel doesn't want peace with its Arab neighbors. Lie. If you tell lies and you tell them often enough, people who don't know the truth start to believe them. The BDS movement's leaders barely tried to hide this charade. They will lie and say that they only want a Palestinian state living side by side with Israel. And then they say this: we oppose a Jewish state in any part of Palestine. Ending the occupation doesn't mean anything if it doesn't mean upending the Jewish state itself. That's from Omar Boguti, a founder of BDS. Boguti lives in Israel, so you might expect that he said this from inside an Israeli prison like Nelson Mandela during South Africa apartheid. You would be wrong. Boguti is a PhD student at Israel's Tel Aviv University, where he enjoys the same rights as every Israeli. My parents could only dream of that kind of freedom. Is Israel a perfect country? No. There are as many perfect countries as there are perfect people. But to call it an apartheid state is not only an insult to the only democracy in the Middle East and the only country with equal rights for all its minorities, it's also an insult to the actual victims of apartheid, like my parents and all those who suffered under it. I'm Olga Mishra for Prager University.
All Israel want to do is have peace, huh? That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting from these videos here.
Why does the left hate Israel?
Okay.
On the surface, it doesn't make sense. Israel is a liberal democracy. It extends full rights to women, to gays, and to its many Arab citizens. Like all countries which are made up of flawed human beings, Israel is flawed. But compared to most countries, not to mention its neighbors, it is a civil rights paradise. So why does the left hate Israel? The reason is that the left, and as I always emphasize, I am talking about the left, not about liberals, is not guided by a moral compass. It is guided by three other compasses: a power compass, a race compass, and a class compass. Let's begin with the power compass. Instead of evaluating people and nations on the basis of right and wrong or good and evil, the left evaluates them on the basis of weak and strong. If you're weak, you're good. If you're strong, you're bad. Israel is strong, therefore it is bad. America is strong, therefore it is bad. The Palestinians are regarded as weak, therefore they're good. When you're guided by a moral compass, you don't ask who's strong and who's weak. You ask who's morally right and who's morally wrong. 50 years ago, Israel was not a big issue for the left. Why? Because it was perceived as weak. But after the 1967 Six-Day War, in which Israel achieved a stunning military victory, it all changed. Israel became strong, so Israel became bad. And the Palestinians were weak, so they became good. So no matter how much terror Palestinians engaged in, hijacking airplanes, murdering 11 Israeli athletes and coaches at the 1972 Munich Olympics, blowing up Israelis in pizza parlors and at weddings, the left's position never changed. Palestinians good, Israel bad, because the Palestinians were weak and Israel was strong. That's one of the three ways the left judges the world. You can test this theory in other ways. Why is the United States bad? Because it's strong. And third world countries that oppose the United States are good. Cuba, for example, has been adored by the left for decades. Never mind that Cuba's Communist Party has ruined Cuba, that Cubans have no civil rights, and Cuba is one of the poorest countries in the world. Since Cuba is weak, to the left, Cuba is good. The same was true with North Vietnam in the 1960s. It was considered weak, so it was good. The U.S. was strong, so it was bad. It didn't matter that America was trying to preserve the freedom of the South Vietnamese exactly as it had preserved the freedom of the South Koreans. The U.S. was strong, so it was bad. Which brings us back to Israel. The stronger Israel gets, as it effectively defends itself, as its economy grows, and as its diplomatic position improves, the more the left hates it. The second of the left's compasses, the race compass, is another reason the left hates Israel. Just as it substitutes weak and strong for good and evil, the left substitutes non-white and white for good and evil. The left doesn't judge people by their actions, but by their race. That's why, for example, the left asserts that a black person cannot be a racist. Only a white person can be a racist. And that provides the second reason Israel is labeled evil. Israelis are considered white and...
What's going on, Singh? How you feeling, bro? Thank you for popping in, man. Right now, man, I'm trying to educate myself, man, on this Israel and Palestinian war that's going on between Israel and the Hamas, you know. Right now, I'm only hearing like one side of Israel being, you know, I guess the protagonists, the heroes, you know. But I'm not getting any like insight on why Hamas or why the Palestinians is doing so, you know. But I'm glad you're in the building, man. I hope you got some information for me, you know. If you know why Hamas is attacking these guys. The only logical explanation is that I'm getting is that they want to see them dead. You know, they want to see Israel, you know, not existing. But for me, I feel that there's more to it, man, on that side. There has to be a reason as to why, you know, Hamas was attacked them the other day, or still attacking them and kidnapping and things like that. Has to be a reason. My theory is there's something in Israel that is being held there that they want, or, you know, I guess they probably believe it's a holy ground. You know, maybe you could you know, give me some insight on that, man. Hopefully, man. But hope all is good with you, man. I appreciate you popping in, man, for real. Let's get back into it, man. Leave your comments, man. Let me know what's up.
Israel is labeled evil. Israelis are considered white, and Palestinians are not white. Never mind that more than half of Israel's population is not white. The result? The left essentially ignores Palestinian terror and loudly condemns Israel's responses to terror. Now to the left's third compass, the class compass. This is the third way in which the left replaces traditional Western and Judeo-Christian categories of good and evil. Instead of judging people's actions by the same moral yardstick, that of good and evil, the left judges people's actions based on their economic class. Rich people in rich nations are bad, poor people in poor nations are good. This began with Karl Marx, who divided the world by economic class, not moral behavior. To Marx and to Marxism, good and evil is entirely class-based. Good is defined as workers, evil as owners. That is the third reason for the left's hatred of Israel and of America. They are both wealthy. As fewer and fewer people perceive the world in terms of good as owners, evil as owners. That is the third reason for the left's hatred of Israel and of America. They are both wealthy. As fewer and fewer people perceive the world in terms of good and evil, substituting a power, race, or class compass.
Well, to tell you the truth, man, I was doing it for a while, and you know, while I was doing the reaction videos, don't get me wrong, I love the comments, I love the people that come in and you know, give me commentary or whatever. But when I was doing it, I was getting a lot of monetization blocks. No, you know, I wasn't getting monetized for my videos, you know. And I was hoping that, you know, some of the people would still come and support me, even though, you know, the thing is, I would do more reaction videos, but the fans and the people who enjoy my videos, I would like for them to definitely come through and see my video, you know, come through and see other videos that I'm doing, so, you know, I could at least gain something from it, you know. I enjoy reacting to the videos. The music is great and all that. You know something? Who is the new artist, man? You know, rest in peace to Sadu. You know, he was that dude. I really enjoyed his music, for real. But who's the newest guy, man? You know, hopefully, you know, I'm gonna get back into it, man. But I would love for other people to come and check out my other videos, man, so they can be monetized, because a lot of videos that I do when I react to the music, they get copyright strikes, and, you know, the monetization goes to them. You know, respect to them, but, you know, I'm critiquing their videos, the audience and the people that are commenting, they love my videos, they enjoy it, but, you know, I like to enjoy some monetization, man, for real. You know? I know, man. Oh, shit. Yeah, man, I know. I understand, man. Tell me, man, who's the new dude, man? Who's the new dude that's running over there and on that side over there, man? Who running it, man? Who's the new dude? And what you think? And what you think about this war that's going on? You're not following it, probably, huh?
Substituting a power, race, or class for a moral compass, you will inevitably get more evil and more hatred of the good. beginning with Israel and America, and ending with Western civilization. I'm Dennis Prager.
Oats overnight is the easiest breakfast you haven't tried yet. It couldn't be simpler. Mix it with your choice of milk.
When I was the Prime Minister of Canada, I was often asked this question: why do you support Israel? My response, in effect, was always the same. Why wouldn't I support Israel? Why wouldn't I support a fellow democratic nation where open elections, free speech, and religious tolerance are the everyday norm? Why wouldn't I support a country with a vibrant free press and an independent judiciary? Why wouldn't I support a valuable trading partner and a wellspring of amazing technological innovation? Why wouldn't I support our most critical ally in the Middle East and in the international struggle against terrorism? In a rational world, in a world where simple common sense prevailed, the question, why do you support Israel, would be like asking, why do you support Australia or Canada? But we don't live in that rational common sense world.
Love to you too,
So
my
the
man.
case for Israel has to be made over and over.
Love to you too, but who's the new dude? You ain't telling me who the new dude is, man. Who's the next artist that's doing it up, man? Last person that was my dude was that man Sonny Moulton, man. I'm about to probably go back and check my man Moulton out, man. There's two in the building, man. Hit that like button, man. Hit the like button when you come up in here, man. Appreciate you, man. After this, these videos is almost done, man. I'm checking out the Israel and Hamas war, man. Trying to educate myself, and hopefully y'all being educated as well. You know, but right now, like I said, it seems to be one-sided. You know, that the Israelis are, you know, the ones that want peace, and the Hamas just want to tear shit up. So let's get back into it. Sonny Moulton is that dude? I'm gonna check out Sonny Moulton, see what's going on with him, man.
Don't live in that rational.
Hey yo, another thing too. Sing, another thing. Why did they get rid of Muswala, man? Why did they get rid of my son Muswala?
Common sense world. So the case for Israel has to be made over and over. I, for one, am happy to make it. Let me start with this. Every military action Israel has ever taken has been to protect itself. Israel is not an aggressor state. It's a defensive state. This has been true from its founding to this day. As a fledgling nation in 1948, Israel was immediately attacked by its Arab neighbors. Their goal was not to contain the tiny new country. It was to annihilate it. No nation came to Israel's aid. Not the United States, not my country, Canada, not the United Kingdom. No one. They all thought Israel would lose, but it didn't lose. It won. In 1967, Israel's neighbors again sought to utterly destroy the Jewish state, a nation that had then existed for 2 decades. Again, Israel prevailed, and it survived another all-out attack in 1973.
But I'm saying though, you see how many times these guys are surviving in this little country, and these people all around is attacking them. How are they prevailing? That's another thing I want to know. Like the thing is, like I'm reading, like I've been saying, I've read the Bible. I've been reading the Bible a little bit, and you know, it seems like these guys. There's so many wars in the Bible. It seems like, you know, with one of the kings, if he prays to the Lord and follows God, they will win the war. Is it a spiritual thing? Because I don't understand how a small country like that could prevail with these big countries all around them. and keep winning these wars? Do Israel have a lot of artillery? How are they doing it? It's crazy. That's crazy to think about it. To see how small Israel is around Jordan and Egypt and these different countries. It's nuts. It's hard to believe, but I'm telling you, I think it's something sacred about that land that they always prevail through these wars. You see how they are blowing up and destroying that Gaza Strip. They're marking them out. Let's see, man. Maybe he'll explain it a little bit better.
Those are the big wars. But I'm not sure there's been a single day in Israel's entire history when some act of terror has not been waged against it, inside or outside its borders. There have been 2 bloody waves of terror, so-called intifadas, in the late 1980s and the early 2000s, when Israelis were blown up on buses, at pizza parlors, and celebrating weddings. There have been incursions from terror groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon. There have been thousands of rocket attacks from Hamas in the Gaza Strip, even after Israel completely withdrew from that territory in 2005. In between the wars, in between the terror, Israel has sought peace with its neighbors, and it has achieved peace treaties with Egypt and Jordan. For others, however, every Israeli gesture for peace is met with incitement and violence. I recount this history for one reason. Any nation that has endured what Israel has endured could easily have become a police state. But through it all, Israel has never abandoned its commitment to the rule of law, to democracy, to tolerance. 1/5 of its citizens are Muslim. They enjoy the same rights as Jewish citizens. They occupy key positions in the nation's courts, press, and government, and they have their own parties representing them in the Knesset, Israel's parliament. To say that Muslims in Israel are the freest Muslims in the region is an understatement. How about this as a human rights test? Prisoners in Israel, be they Jewish or Arab, are well treated, well fed, and have access to the best possible medical care. Parents and spouses of these prisoners know where they are and that they are safe. Who else in the region but Israel can make that claim? Through all the wars and all the terror, Israel has survived, and especially in the last 20 years, it has thrived. It's known as Startup Nation, and with good reason. Key components of your cell phone and your laptop were designed in Israel. A drug or a medical device that has saved your life or the life of a loved one may have been developed in Israel. Yet there are leftist politicians, activists, artists, academics, and college students who devote their lives to denouncing Israel, calling for boycotts, demanding it be cut off from academic and professional societies. Do they denounce the Palestinian leadership that hasn't held an election in well over a decade? Do they denounce the leadership of Hamas, who use women and children as human shields to protect their fighters?
It's crazy.
No, they denounce free, vibrant, democratic, innovative Israel. With all the brutal and violent regimes, not only in the Middle East, but around the world, how is one to explain singling out Israel for condemnation? Sadly, only one explanation fits: anti-Semitism. Do these haters of Israel question the legitimacy of any other democratic nation, of any nation for that matter? Of course, the answer is no. Somehow, they only manage to oppose the Jewish one. The state of Israel has now existed for 70 years. It is one of the freest, most prosperous, most successful nations.
All right, bro, man. Take care, man.
Why do I support Israel?
Appreciate you for stopping in, man.
Why wouldn't anyone?
For real.
I'm Stephen Harper, 22nd Prime Minister of Canada for Prager University.
You still ain't tell me who the man, yo. You still ain't tell me who the man on that side, man, with the music, man. You ain't telling me who the king of the Punjabis is, man. Word, man, let me know.
Prime Minister of Canada for Prager University.
I was born to hate Jews. It was part of my life. I never questioned it. I was not born in Iran or Syria. I was born in England. My parents moved there from Pakistan. Theirs was the typical immigrant story. Moved to the West in the hope of making a better life for themselves and their children. We were a devout Muslim family, but not extremist or radical in any way. We only wished the best for everyone. Everyone except the Jews.
Why?
The Jews we believed were aliens living in stolen Muslim land. Occupiers who were engaged in a genocide against the Palestinian people.
Okay.
Our hatred, therefore, was justified and righteous, and it made me and my friends vulnerable to the arguments of radical extremists. If the Jews were as evil as we had always believed, mustn't those who support them, Christians, Americans, and others in the West, be just as evil? Beginning in the 1990s, speakers and teachers at mosques and in schools began to endlessly repeat this theme. We were not Western, we were not British, we were Muslims, first and only. Our loyalty was to our religion and to our fellow Muslims. We owed nothing to the Western nations that welcomed us. As Westerners, they were our enemies. All of this had its desired effect. At least, it did on me. It changed the way that I saw the world. I began to see the suffering of Muslims, including in Britain, as the fault of Western imperialism. The West was at war with us, and the Jews controlled the West. My experience at university in Britain only enhanced my increasingly radical beliefs. Hating Israel was a badge of honor. Stage an anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian rally, and you were sure to draw a large, approving crowd. While at university, I decided the protests and propaganda against Israel were not enough. True jihad demanded violence. So I made plans to join the real fight. Leave college, the training camp. I came across a book called The Case for Israel by Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz. The Case for Israel? What case could there be? The title itself made me furious, and I began to read the pages almost as an act of defiance. How ill-informed, how stupid could this guy be to defend the indefensible? Well, he was a Jew. That had to be the answer. So I read, and what I read challenged all of my dogmas about Israel and the Jews. I read that it wasn't Israel that created the Palestinian refugee crisis. It was the Arab countries, the United Nations, and the corrupt Palestinian leadership. I read that Jews didn't exploit the Holocaust to create the state of Israel. The movement to create a modern Jewish state dated back to the 19th century, and ultimately to the beginnings of the Jewish people almost 4,000 years ago. And I read that Israel is not engaged in genocide against the Palestinians. On the contrary, the Palestinian population has actually doubled in just 20 years. All this did was make me angrier. I needed to prove Dershowitz wrong, to see with my own eyes how racist and oppressive Israel really was. So I bought a plane ticket. I would travel to Israel, the home of my enemy. And that's when everything changed. Everything. What I saw with my own eyes was even more challenging than what Dershowitz had written. Instead of apartheid, I saw Muslims, Christians, and Jews coexisting. Instead of hate, I saw acceptance and even compassion. I saw a raucous, modern, liberal democracy, full of flaws, certainly, but fundamentally decent. I saw a country that wanted nothing more than to live in peace with its neighbors. I saw my hatred melting before my eyes. I knew right then what I had to do. Too many people on this planet are consumed with the same hatred that consumed me. They have been taught to despise the Jewish state. Many Muslims by their religion, many others by their college professors or student groups. So here is my challenge to anyone who feels this way. Do what I did. Seek out the truth for yourself. If the truth could change me, it can change anyone. I'm Kasim Hafiz.
Yeah, there's a part 2 of another hour-long video of Prager University, a part 2 of all this. Video, man, I'm gonna try and find or try to research something on the other side, man, of the Hamas and the Palestinians as to why they're attacking Israel. You know, we hear the one side, Israel, you know, wants peace, things like that. So I wanna find out, why are these groups attacking Israel and want to destroy it? You know, originally their country, Israel. You know, I learned back in 2005. Israel gave, you know, the Palestinians the Gaza Strip. You know, so we'll see, man. You know, I'm gonna do some research and find out as to why. It can't be for no reason. So anyway, man, y'all stay tuned, man. Randy Nichols, man. I might be on Nickel Gains today, man. Check me out on Nickel Gains, man. Nickel Gains, Gains, man. Getting back to my workouts, man. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I get more love over there on the live over there, man. Even though it's like about 100 people, 100 and something people subscribe to that channel, man. But you guys go over there and subscribe, man, if y'all want to get a good workout in. And then, you know, I'll be back on my reactions and all that on this side here very soon, man. You know, just trying to take it one day at a time. Trying to get back to it, man. It's your boy Randy Nichols, man. Holla at your boy, man. Don't catch me later. Peace.